Hello there, dear viewer, and welcome to haQ. My name is Jakob. I'm your host, and you're watching a haQ episode. In this episode, I'll be talking about all the apps I use on a daily basis to be productive with. Whether I'm doing stuff like storing my musical ideas to actually producing stuff, and that could be anything from editing narration for my videos, because all of my videos are made on iOS. So I'll be talking about video editing apps and stuff I use there, and I'll be talking about stuff I use when I do research. We have a lot to go through. All right, so the first category is creativity and storing musical ideas. The first one is an app that, if you've been following me for a while, you're probably sick to death hearing about it. Figure by Reason Studios. Figure is great because it's got drums, it's got bass, it's got lead, and it's all I need to store my ideas. If I get an idea when I wake up in the morning, which usually happens to me actually, I just grab my phone, open up Figure, hammer in the idea, and it's right there, and I can keep on working on it later on. I really do use Figure every day just to store my ideas. But there's this one thing it cannot do. You see, I might be out walking, on my way to the grocery store. I need to get some oat milk or some other stuff that I eat and drink, like juice. I love drinking juice, and I'm running out of juice. Well, I'm out walking and I hear a sound and I go towards the sound, and now I like the sound and I want to use the sound and I want to make music with the sound. Figure cannot sample, but Koala Sampler can. And it makes that type of thing, making beats with whatever you have around you in your environment, audio-wise, makes it very simple. Koala Sampler is best when it comes to this stuff. And the Samurai update that I did a video about not too long ago, how to update, well, it just brings a lot of functionality to Koala Sampler. You should have both of these apps if you want to store your ideas quickly. Now, there is one other thing that I sometimes do to get creative and to spark ideas, and that is to load a bunch of apps and try to make something, and suddenly an idea comes. I'm just gonna mention the core app here, and the core app I use for that is AUM. I use that to just build upon ideas. Sometimes it turns into ideas that I then want to produce, actually do some production work with, which is when I move over to a DAW like Cubase. But yeah, AUM, I use that every day. And if I talked about all the apps that I try being creative with inside AUM, we would be here for an entire year. And I don't think anyone would want to watch a year-long video. So I'm just gonna mention AUM. The next category is music production and editing work, and that includes narration. You see, when I want to do production work, I need a conventional DAW with MIDI, audio, all the editing tools, and everything that entails. Cubase has always been my main go-to app. Now, if you want to hear me talk about this whole thing, Cubase versus AUM in depth, then I do have a video about that, and you can find that video up here. Yeah, in that video I go deep into my workflow and why I choose to use one app over another. But Cubase is something I open every day. And most of the time, I must admit, is to edit narration for my videos. I wish that most of the time I open up Cubase, it would be for me, making music. But yeah, video work takes up most of my time. So that's why I'm doing mostly narration editing. Now, the next app I'm gonna mention is an app that every video vlogger or video maker that do not have a silent studio to sit in, well, they should all get this app. It is brusfri. It can run standalone, and it can run as an AUV3 inside a DAW like Cubase or AUM. And what it does is...
But make sure that only noise is playing while you hold it. Press and hold the ear button for 1 second now. If everything went well, the recording should now be a lot more clean from noise.
I use this everywhere where I need my vocals, because this room is not silent. This room is really, really loud. There's a lot of noise going on, and brusfri effectively removes that. I definitely recommend Bruce Free. I can't recommend it enough. I might be recommending this app more than anything else because I'm tired of watching YouTube videos where people don't wash out their stupid back. You got a link to Bruce Free down in the description. Now, there are 3 apps that I use on a daily basis to filter, to saturate, and also to master my narration, my music, my beats, my sound demos, and that is ProQ3 by FabFilter, Saturn 2 by FabFilter, and L2 by FabFilter. FabFilter makes some of the absolute best plugins for iOS. So Saturn 2 is a saturator/distortion plugin, but so much more. You can build your own algorithms in it. It's the most powerful thing I've ever seen on iOS. And then ProQ3 is the most powerful filter/equalizer module. You can make brick wall filtering in this. I have a video on ProQ3. You should really go and watch it to see why I recommend it so highly. Well, the last one I want to mention is L2. Whatever I am mastering, I'm always using L2 because it's got a good readout and a good level meter. I know exactly what LUFS I'm in when I'm mastering my stuff. I just love this limiter so much.
I like my headphone port right where it is. I want my surface clear from unwanted pop-ups. But little Timmy boy loves my money, so he's breaking it up in a million pieces. Tim just wants me to sing that song. Ding ding dong, let's get another dongle.
So we get to the next segment, which is video editing. Now, my main app for video editing is LumaFusion. The best one on iOS, bar none. Bar none. It's just the best one. The people behind LumaFusion are just so dedicated, and they're movie makers themselves, video makers themselves, photographers. They're really into this thing. They understand what it is that we need, and they're also mobile production. They're also people who does stuff on mobile. So they really get this game. We're not talking about some company trying to adapt something for iOS here. We're talking about a company that kind of sprung up from iOS. So they really get it. LumaFusion is so great. I recommend it to everyone. Now, sometimes I do these animations, and I've done entire music videos with animations, like the Apple one, like a lot of people seem to like. Well, I did all of that, and I do Paper Jakob, for instance, inside an app called Core Animator. It leaves a lot to be desired. If you've ever worked with any animation software on a desktop computer, you're not going to be happy with Core Animator because it's way too simplistic. There's just, like I said, it's so much. I really wish there was something else. I wish I had something more powerful, but it does the job. Now, there is this app that I used for a long time to do audio-visual stuff. What do I mean with that? Well, if you've got a waveform, how do you show that waveform in a nice way on the screen? Well, you can do that with a spectrum analyzer. And so I used Visible for the longest of time to make even music videos with and stuff like that. And yeah, it works great. You can do spectrum analysis, you can do waveform animations and stuff, but you have so little control. I found a solution to this, but unfortunately that solution is not on iOS. I had to go over to MacBook and start using an app called Magic Music Visuals. I paid for a $48 license for one computer, and it's the best thing I've ever done. I absolutely love this app. And so I'm now able to make stuff like this. But yeah, I have to use a MacBook in order to do it. So is there anything equivalent on iOS? No, there is not. I don't know if we're gonna start seeing stuff like that now that Apple is doing the M1 processors inside iPads and stuff. Maybe we'll be able to see stuff like Magic Music Visuals move over to iOS, but I don't know that for sure. For now, there is no good solution for audiovisual stuff on iOS. Next category. What do I use to edit my photos? Well, I use Infinity Photo. And I use Infinity Photo because whenever I'm taking pictures of myself for my thumbnails, I do that in RAW format with my DSLR camera. I do have a DSLR camera. I don't only use my iPhone. Nikon camera, D5100. It's really old, but it's good. I got some good glass for it. I take a RAW photo with that, and then I open it up inside Affinity Photo, and then I can just mess around with lighting and stuff like that. I'm really shit at all of that stuff. So, and yeah, that's it. Other apps that I use is an app called Sprite Cutter. Jakob, why would you need something like Sprite Cutter? First of all, what Sprite Cutter is, for those of you not knowing, it's literally you just cutting out stuff and then saving it down as transparent PNGs. You can do that with Affinity Photo, but the interface inside Sprite Cutter is made for touch in a different, it just feels different. And so it's very simple to cut out stuff. And that's why I use that app. So those are the two only photo editing apps that I use.
This is Apple's year, everyday unwanted updates, yeah. But why? Oh, you like this bit? Yes. We're gonna take this bit. Why? Oh, you want this bit? Here, you can have it back.
All right, so the next category is file management and storage. So I basically use two apps. I use the built-in Files app from Apple to manage stuff in my filing system, and whenever I'm connecting an external hard drive, it just makes it so much easier for me to move stuff over from that over to my iPad, or you know, the other way around. But when it comes to actually managing and storing my audio files, the app I like using most is Audio Share. Audio Share can store a lot of stuff, and for the longest of time, before we had the file management system inside iOS, I used Audio Share for everything. I stored everything from PDFs to MIDI files, text files, fonts. I stored everything in there, basically. Audio Share is just this really great tool to use, and it's a great way of managing all your audio files. You can make folders, subfolders. Yeah, it's great. Today you could just use the Files app, but some apps, music apps, won't support the Files app, but they will actually support the Audio Share app, meaning you can access all of the files directly from certain music apps inside Audio Share, which is great. So yeah, Audio Share is still an app that I highly recommend today. The last section is research. So I use the Notes app heavily for all of my research. So when I'm doing a research for these app lists that I do, I use Notes. And I do lists, and in it I'll write down the name of an app, I'll put in the picture of an app, I'll put in release date of an app and latest update, other information about the app. When I've used it and tested it, I do notes in here, and I will write how many channels a certain app has, and I do it all inside the Notes app. Other than that, apps I use in my research: Safari, YouTube, yeah. Right there, I've gone through all of the apps I use on a daily basis. I'd love to hear what you use on a daily basis. So why don't you tell us all down there what you use? What do you use most? Now, if you like this video, then why not have it a thumbs, like the comment? If you like this video, why don't you give it a thumbs up? And if you did not like this video, give it a thumbs down. If you want to help out in some way, then you can share this video. And if you want to help in a financial way, then you can always go to my Bandcamp, buy some of my music. You can also join Patreon, or you could do PayPal thing. Yeah, there's lots of choices. And if you don't want to do any of that, that's okay too. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. Now, as usual, I wish you a very productive week. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it. It looks like pee. But it ain't. It's juice, baby.